Welcome, everybody. My name is Caroline McKinley. I am the Research Services Librarian at the Health Sciences Library. And once again, welcome to our first class on topic development. So for those of you planning on completing your master's thesis in 2022, we thought it might be helpful to give you some tips that will help you jumpstart or give you a head start on your topic development. For those of you who don't even have a topic yet, most of you don't, it's very, very early. I thought it would be a good idea to sort of go through the steps to help you develop from a broad subject, doing a broad subject search, reading through the results that you get from perhaps PubMed. You're going to be organically making some discoveries, areas of interest that you wish to focus in on, and you'll be able to refine and then focus your search even more. So sort of an organic process from broad subject to a narrower topic. So what I'm not going to be doing in this presentation, I'll be touching upon it, but what I'm not going to be doing so much in this presentation, which will be going into great detail of how to create a really effective search string. I will be touching upon that, but the focus of this is really to help you fine-tune a topic of interest that you can really roll up your sleeves on and really get interested in, because you're going to be spending a lot of time on this research. So we really want to create a class and give you guys some time to show you how to develop that broad subject to a narrower topic. Because we have 4 other classes in addition to this one, where we will be going through more of the nitty-gritty. And it's basically our GSBMS thesis prep classes, and there are 4. And the first one that we'll be doing, Dr. Thompson will be doing, it's a great class, and he'll be doing this in a few months, and you will be notified, and you'll know when it's going to be, plenty of time for it. He is going to be going through his plan of attack, which is essentially a very clear, organized, no stress way to how to meet important deadlines, what you need to do to stay organized to meet those important deadlines. And then I will have a class on how to conduct a literature review, what a literature review is, how to search for it, how to build that search string that can get you the results that you need. The types of studies, the primary studies, the original research, the new knowledge that you're going to be evaluating and connecting together. Remember, you're going to be the driver of the information when you write your lit review. So we'll be going through that process as well. And then Erica Makish, who is the writing specialist here at New York Medical, does a wonderful presentation on effective writing and how to write and organize your literature review. And then lastly, I'll be presenting a class on how to format your lit review, going through the specifics of pagination, how to format your tables and figures, the proper citation, how to cite your sources using the official GSBMS thesis style. So we have a lot of good things planned for you. But again, this is the first class that I'm doing, which is going to go through not how to research your established specific topic, but how to develop a good topic that, again, you wish to roll up your sleeves, you wish to get, really roll up your sleeves on and really get busy on and really be passionate about. So for those of you who have a subject already, most of you don't, but for those of you who do, I can kind of show you how to build that broad subject to a more refined topic of interest. Many of you might not have a broad subject yet, and I'm also going to go through how to sort of find those areas that are really topical, that are very interesting, very important, that will really get you going and get you excited about putting all your time and work and effort into. So essentially, this is a pretty organic process. You have a broad subject. You're going to have an initial broad subject to get the lay of the land. In most cases, you're going to be searching in PubMed to start out. Later on, when you start doing your research for your more specific topic, we'll be exploring other databases, PubMed, Embase, Web of Science. But for now, we're going to focus in on PubMed. So an initial broad search to get the lay of the land. And I should say subject search. You're going to be taking a look. You're going to take a look at the results in PubMed. You're going to be evaluating, reading the titles or the abstracts. You're going to be naturally making discoveries of trends and specifics that will help you narrow down your focus to a topic of interest. You're going to be identifying synonymous keywords and phrases or concepts that describe your topic. You might be making a list of those possible synonyms that you might want to include later on in your search string to help you narrow down your focus. And then you're going to be doing another search. You're going to be doing a research with a narrower focus using those added concepts or keywords that struck your fancy, that got you interested, that was an area of concern or of importance that you wanted to focus in on. So again, very simple process. Nothing overly earth-shattering here, but just to let you understand that, again, searching broadly initially, going to be reading the results. You're going to make some refinements or tweaks with relevant keywords or concepts or even acronyms. There might be an acronym that is used in one of those titles or abstracts that you were unaware of that really focuses in on that particular subject or that concept. And then you're going to be able to narrow down your focus even more. So as you read through the results, the titles or the abstracts, or perhaps you might even see an article that really pops out at you, that really is a treasure trove of ideas that you might wish to focus in on. You're going to be reading those results that are the results of the initial broad subject search. And you're going to be identifying what interests you in this area. Again, you're going to be spending a lot of time on this. What is important to you? What themes or issues exist? Are there adverse effects in this area? Does one drug or one therapy present one or different solutions? Is there a trend in the field, a raging debate, an area of concern? My gosh, look at COVID-19. So many areas to explore there. Is there a therapeutic solution or an approach? So you're going to be picking one of these themes to focus in on in order to develop a more refined topic. It's a process. You're going to naturally be making discoveries. And you're going to be able to narrow down on an important area of research that you wish to explore and analyze. So you're going to be searching and you're going to be reading. You're going to be doing a broad search and you're going to be reading the results. There's a fancy word called Boolean operators. What I'm going to show you now are the magic of words such as and or, where you can, and will enable you to narrow down your search or will enable you to broaden your search. Depends on what you need to do. And you'll know that when you see the results and the amount of results and whether or not you're getting relevant results. So I'm also going to show you how to search broadly in PubMed using those Boolean operators. And then we're going to narrow down and get a little more specific. So Boolean operators. The word and. What you want to do is you're going to be using the word and to connect different concepts together. When you do that, you are limiting your results. You're telling the database, I must have both of those keywords or both of those concepts, A and B, delivered in my results, returned in my results. So you're going to be using the word and to connect different concepts together. Or you're going to be using the word or to connect synonymous keywords or words or concepts together. When you use quotation marks, you are telling the database, I must have the exact wording delivered within the quotation marks. I don't want to search the word and anything different. There's no variation. There might be a specific phrase that you wish to search, that you wish to have the database deliver to you in terms of its results. So you might want to put quotation marks. Again, this is something we're going to explore more further when I do my second class, conducting a lit review, but I just wanted to give you an overview on it now. PubMed is very smart. You do not, if you're not specific on the actual keyword phrase, PubMed inserts automatically by default the word and in between two separate words if you do not have an or there. So if you have the word quotation and marks, let's say you had quotation marks in your PubMed search field, and I will show you that. You don't even have to put and. If you want to just search quotation marks without the quotation marks, you can actually just type in quotation marks. And I wanted to point out this little wild card asterisk here. That's actually, if you wanted to put that asterisk in place of where that S is, PubMed, you're telling PubMed, you know what, I'm cool with whether or not you give me the singular or the plural version. But again, I will show you that in a more specific way, example when we get to the actual PubMed database. So let's start out. Let's just say we had a broad subject. Okay, we had aromatase inhibitor. Aromatase inhibitor, very important drug. It actually, it's given to people who need to lower their estrogen reaction in their body. And there are many different types of aromatase inhibitors. We can start out broadly. You have an idea, you wish to explore. Okay, as I mentioned, if I were to search PubMed without putting quotation marks, PubMed would deliver this, would read this, translate this as aromatase and inhibitor. I have my little asterisk there that's saying I'm looking for either the singular form or the plural, aromatase inhibitor or aromatase inhibitors. These are my second and third concepts. Right now, I don't have anything there. So this is going to be a very, very broad search, which is fine because I want to learn, I want to read, I want to see what's out there on this broad subject so I can focus even more specifically on what it is I want to spend my time on, what's important to me. So as you can see, aromatase inhibitor, I did not refine it to any date range, but we have a lot of results here. But PubMed, again, is very smart. This is translating this as aromatase and inhibitor or inhibitors. If I had put quotation marks around in the front and the back of these two words, it would only search it as specifically aromatase inhibitor or aromatase inhibitors. From this simple search, I might say, okay, wow, I'm going to look through the results here, but right now there's something that I'm seeing that's an adverse reaction to the intake of aromatase inhibitors? Bone loss? Is this something I want to further investigate? All right, well, let's see. Now, I might want to say to PubMed, okay, let me add this second concept, or let me and this second concept. Again, what happens when we insert the Boolean operator and? Already we're narrowing down our results. We're focusing in on a more specific area that might help us develop a more refined topic. PubMed is translating this bone health. I don't have quotation marks. I don't have a quotation mark in front of bone, and I don't have a quotation mark after health. So PubMed is translating this as bone and health, which really is fine in this step. So if I wanted to, let me go back. This is the keyword aromatase inhibitor. This is where, before I even run this search, this is where I might want to investigate what we refer to as MESH. MESH in PubMed stands for medical subject heading. When I search, and I'm going to show you how to do this when we get to the database, when I search aromatase inhibitors in PubMed, in their MESH database, there's a link, a very clear link in PubMed that gives you an option to click and search in their MESH database. MESH is a concept term, an umbrella term. It's essentially saying, and I'm going to give you a very basic description of what a MESH term is for aromatase inhibitors. And there's a MESH term, there are thousands and thousands of MESH terms or concept terms or preferred terms that are cataloged or used in PubMed. And essentially, catalogers, librarians have said, you know what? There are so many aromatase inhibitors out there, so many articles, so many different aromatase, so many articles, so many studies, so many preprints. We need to create a concept, a preferred term, a MESH term, a medical subject heading term for aromatase inhibitors. So that when someone searches aromatase inhibitors as a MESH term, they're going to be pulling in all of these studies, all of these articles, all of these papers that we're going to connect and we're going to tag as a paper that needs to be tagged with the concept or the MESH term aromatase inhibitors. So if tamoxifen is an aromatase inhibitor, but there's no mention of tamoxifen in the article, which there most likely would be, but if there wasn't, and that article was tagged an aromatase inhibitor, you would pull in that article on tamoxifen. However, here is the little caveat. Because it's probably computer generated, but because there's intervention of a librarian or a cataloger tagging an article with a MESH term, such as aromatase inhibitors, there is a 6-month to a 1-year lag between when an article or a paper or a study gets tagged with a concept term such as aromatase inhibitors or a MESH term. So you're not going to get the most current results if you just use MESH, which is why the librarians at the National Librarian of Medicine who manage PubMed say, in addition to MESH terms, you also want to OR this concept term with the keyword aromatase inhibitors or any specific aromatase inhibitor that you happen to be studying. But the reason why I wanted to bring up MESH in this instance is because it allows you it guides you through narrowing down your search. So if you're kind of don't really know where to go with a subject, you can go into the MESH database and you can ask yourself, wow, what is it in addition to the keyword that I would be ORing, because we're ORing synonymous keywords and concepts together. What is it I want to do with this mesh? What is it I want to do with aromatase inhibitors? Well, if we're talking about bone loss or bone density, maybe I want to narrow it down to the subheading adverse effects. So subheadings answer the question of what is it I want to do with this mesh concept? And then you can even narrow down further. If you want to click on restrict to mesh major topic, that is telling you, or telling the database, I want to find articles or resources or studies that focus in on aromatase inhibitors. What is this study about? What is this review article about? It's about aromatase inhibitors. And then, you can't see it here, but I'll show you when we get to the PubMed database. You can see under entry terms, there'll be a list of synonyms that you can use, if you wish, to broaden your search, that you can OR up here. And then you'd be hitting search PubMed. I'm a broken record. I'm going to be showing you how to do this when we get to the PubMed database. So again, mesh is a nice way to kind of guide you along the way to help you mentally think of, where do I want to go with this concept? So mesh can help you answer the question, what do I want to do with this concept? What is the therapeutic use? Where do I want to go? What direction do I want to take? What are the adverse effects? Do I want to search general aromatase inhibitors, or do I want to zero in or do a comparison between one and the other? Is there a way that we can counteract these, if there are adverse effects or negative effects, is there a way to counteract these adverse effects? Okay. Not to confuse you, but when we're talking about the drug databases such as aromatase inhibitors, mesh also allows you to search for an area called pharmacological action. And you will see this when you search a drug such as a drug category such as aromatase inhibitors. It will give you the concept. It will give you the concept, which is here. It will also give you something called pharmacological action. And this way you can even get more specific if you need to. What does this drug do to the body? And in this instance, you maybe want to focus in on a particular aromatase inhibitor, if you wish. Way to narrow down if you need to. So now, this is where I can begin to think about narrowing down going from a broad subject search to perhaps a topic of interest. So perhaps my topic will be the effects of physical exercise on reducing bone loss due to aromatase inhibitors. What you want to do, mesh, medical subject heading. I'm not going to go into it now, but Mtree in Embase, which is one of the databases I will be showing you how to use when we do our class on conducting a lit review. Mesh is to PubMed what Mtree is to Embase. So I'm going to get really silly and basic here. This is our concept, aromatase inhibitors. This is our household. This is our family. We have our first parentheses, front door, back door. We are enclosing the house, okay? We're opening up the front door, we're closing the back door. These are our family members. Aromatase inhibitors, this is where I grabbed that mesh term and I added the adverse effects. You can add whichever you want. These are areas to explore, okay? The world is your oyster here. You can explore. So now, I have my mesh term and the subject heading, and to get the most current results, I am ORing it with the keyword phrase aromatase inhibitor. I put it in quotation marks here just to keep it simple. You might want to have another OR. You might want to OR it with tamoxifen or whichever drug you want to zero in on. So this is my family up here. I'm going to AND a separate household. Okay, we're ORing family members together. We're ANDing separate households together. We have our second concept, bone density. I discovered there is a mesh term for bone density. There's also a subject heading for bone density that I could choose. Drug effects. What is it I want to do with the concept of the mesh term bone density? I want to focus in on the drug effects of what aromatase inhibitors do to bone density. First parentheses, front door, back door. ORing it with some keyword phrases, bone density or bone loss or bone health. I could even add or bone. Now, from this search, I didn't even have to AND it with a third concept because I got plenty here. I think I'm beginning to narrow down my topic. Again, we're not focusing on the research of the topic yet. We're focusing on developing a nice topic that will enable you to do your research. So as a result of this search, we're going to make some discoveries. Now, here, this is just a very basic, this is a result of the search string that's right here, okay? Didn't even have any filters. I think I might have put a date filter on this, which is why I have so few results. But here is where I can say, okay, wait a minute. I see this physical activity can help reduce bone loss. That could potentially be my third concept. I don't know yet. But there's another area of interest here. Bone modifying agents. Is that a third concept that I want to add or explore? Or maybe even a second concept. Maybe I just want to look at aromatase inhibitors and bone modifying agents. This is where we're playing. We're still in the playing stage. But for now, I'm going to focus in on physical. I'm going to focus in on physical activity. If you get too many results, you might want to refine that even more. What type? Stretching, resistance training, cardio. Really depends on what results are generated. But it gets you thinking. It enables you to focus in on what it is you want to explore further. And then you can start thinking about other keywords that you might want to add to your search string. Bone health, bone density, bone loss, bone. Again, specific aromatase inhibitor that you might wish to focus in on. And you're going to AND the separate household or concepts together, and you're going to be ORing synonymous keywords together of the same concept. And you're going to be ANDing it with that third concept if you need to. You might not need to add a third concept. You might be getting plenty of results or a focused result list from just two concepts. It depends. So just as an example, I added my third concept here, discovered that there was a mesh term for exercise. I gave it a subheading of therapeutic use. Again, what is it I want to do with exercise? And I ORed it with a keyword to get the most current results. I only went back a few years just to kind of narrow it down. And I got some really, I felt some good results here. Here is actually a systematic review and meta-analysis. What is a systematic review and meta-analysis? I'm going to go into this more detail in the second class on conducting a lit review. But for now, systematic reviews and meta-analyses are the highest form of best evidence. In other words, the validity of the results that are delivered from a systematic review and meta-analysis, in most cases, tend to be very, very high, very credible. And the reason is that a systematic review and a meta-analysis is a secondary study of a collection of primary studies as it pertains to a specific research question. And what delivers that excellence in credibility, in informational credibility, in credible data, incredible results, is the fact that the process that's used to analyze and critically appraise and check out the methodology and the methodological quality of those primary studies is very, very rigorous. So the secondary study, the process is very rigorous to determine the value of those primary studies that went into those final results. I'm going to be focusing more on that in the class that I'm going to be doing, the second class of the series. But if you were to click on this article, it would bring you to the article, and you can actually see and evaluate and investigate the primary studies or the sources, the cited sources that were used to create this secondary study. And that might be a whole other avenue which you might wish to explore. Okay. So for now, I think what I want to do, I want to take you to PubMed. Okay. Here is, as I'm sure you're very aware of, here is our library homepage. This is where you want to get to PubMed. You want to navigate to PubMed from the library homepage. We're going to click on here. The reason why you want to do this is when you go to access an article in a journal that we subscribe to, you're going to be prompted to log in with your Turo credentials. I'm sure you're all very well aware of that. You log in with your Turo and your credentials, and you can get access to all the articles of the journals that we subscribe to. And we subscribe to many, many excellent journals. Okay. Let's say you don't have a subject. Okay, and you might not. This is very early. PubMed, again, is a great tool to use. Here's where trending, or might want to navigate to trending articles. If you have a subject, you're going to go right here, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But if you want to search for some articles, editorials, and again, you're not going to be citing editorials in your lit review because you might mention it as a foundational information, but the point of the lit review, again, is the literature review. You are reviewing the primary studies, the original research that is out there on your topic that you have developed. Right? If you see an editorial and it's background information and you happen to cite a definition in the editorial, of course, or if you put that definition, you're citing that directly, you're quoting it directly, you want to cite that editorial. But the primary focus of your lit review is primary studies, original research, okay, new knowledge, you're connecting the dots on new knowledge. You're the driver of that information. You are the moderator of the debate on the new knowledge that is out there on your topic, which we're attempting to develop right now. So, PubMed trending articles that have been read and accessed with the most activity in the last couple of weeks. Clearly, most of the articles that have been accessed in the last few weeks or the last months or the last year are going to be about the pandemic. So here's where, if you do not have a subject, or even if you do have a subject, perhaps you want to look into COVID-19. Okay, that's really broad. Now you need to focus in on that. But here is where you can begin to look for some topics of interest. You can click on See More Trending Articles. And as you can see, there's a lot going on here. All right. Now, thrombosis and COVID-19, huge area of research right now, or other areas, digestion, vaccination, adverse effects from vaccination, vaccine efficacy. There's a ton. So clearly you need to, if you have your broad subject, you need to narrow down. Here is one that has to do, that's been heavily accessed in the last few weeks. And this actually has not even been published in print yet. This is actually most likely a preprint. And there are a lot of those right now, as you can well imagine. We need preprints. They've not been peer reviewed yet, but the importance of getting studies out there on this subject is clearly very, very important. So here we can, if you want to explore this, you certainly can. You can scroll down even more. But let's say, for instance, this is an article. Maybe I do want to explore the incidence of venous sinus thrombosis and vaccinations. You can click on it. In most cases, on the right-hand side, there will be a link to the mesh terms that were used to create this article. Sometimes there's not. In this case, there isn't. But you also have some keywords. So here you have your first concept, COVID-19, and cerebral venous sinus thrombosis. So these are some keywords that you might wish to explore in PubMed. Or if this is an area of interest, maybe you want to click on similar articles. And now I'm seeing something else. Okay. Thrombosis, there seems to be a relationship between some thrombosis and the actual infection, not vaccinations, but the infection. Maybe that's an area that I want to explore. Okay. So by clicking on this, this is a review article. Synonymous term, other terms of review article. This is not a systematic review. Okay. Actually, this is a systematic review. My bad. Yeah, this is sometimes in PubMed, articles that are lit reviews or narrative reviews, same thing. You're going to be doing a lit review. Get tagged review, which is very different from a systematic review. As I just mentioned, a systematic review is very different from a narrative review or a lit review, which is what you're doing. What you're going to be doing is very subjective. It's you are giving your take, your opinion on all of these primary studies out there, discovering the trends and the arguments and the hypotheses of these studies. A systematic review is very objective. Again, it's a secondary study of a collection of primary studies. It's a very high level of evidence. I would actually explore this article even further before I even determine the exact level of interest. I would have to open it up and actually do a critical appraisal of this article, which is a whole nother class. But again, we're starting out here for topic development. And if this isn't a sort of a subject area that we want to explore, we can click on the mesh terms that were used. You don't have to use all of these, but it could be a good starting point for you to develop your broad subject search, refined more to a more specific topic search. Now, I want to go back again for those who have not even developed a subject yet. PubMed, hyperlink, will bring you back to the homepage, get you out of the weeds. So in addition to trending articles, there's also articles that have been accessed from really, how do I say, very well received, very credible, very important journals out there. Obviously, these are the top tier journals out there. There are, of course, more, but these are the ones that have been pulled with articles that have been accessed the most frequently in the last few months. PLOS One. Excellent, excellent journal, a highly reputable journal. And PLOS is actually a journal that you can investigate because it's an excellent open access peer-reviewed journal that publishes primary research. Again, original research, new discoveries, or new knowledge. How do I know what is an article that represents primary research? The authors of that study who wrote the article or wrote the paper or wrote the preprint will document their methods, their results, their conclusions of their experiment, of their observational experiment, or of their clinical trial. So again, you can browse through the articles that have been accessed the most recently in this very highly reputable journal, if you need to explore and look into a broad subject that you wish to focus in on. Okay, now, as I said, PubMed is very smart. It's essentially the Google of biomedical research. If I wanted to start out with a very, very broad subject, such as COVID-19, and there are many different ways to spell COVID-19, I could say, or COVID-19 without the hyphen. Okay, now to keep it simple though, I'm just going to do it this way. We have our subject, COVID-19. What is it we want to know about COVID-19? Where do we want to go with this? Because if we hit search, that's a very broad subject, was going to get us very many results. Plus, you need to focus your subject. You need to refine your subject to get a really great topic of interest. So if I say COVID-19, what about, as I just said, thrombosis? And thrombosis is still broad because there are a lot of different areas of thrombosis you're going to wish to refine to or focus in on. But I'm just going to type in thrombosis. And as I said, these are not mesh terms. This is just real-time activity, real-time searches that people have explored. That's why that's coming up. Okay. So COVID-19 thrombosis. I am not putting an and in between COVID-19 and thrombosis because PubMed is automatically putting an and in there. What PubMed is not doing though, all right, it's not what other synonymous term. There's so many other synonymous terms I can put in for COVID-19. At this stage, I don't really need to do it, but if I wanted to, I could put in the SARS-CoV-2. Clearly, you might want to or COVID-19 with the virus that causes COVID-19. Right? You don't have to at this stage, but just to kind of give you an idea how to sort of begin to develop your search. I might want to put that in quotation marks since I want to grab, since that's more than one word, and I might want to grab the actual how I have written that out, SARS-CoV-2. All right. And thrombosis. So we have our family, our concept of COVID-19, and we have and it with our separate concept. All right. But for right now, I'm just going to show you what happens when I just make it very simple for my initial broad subject search, which is actually narrowed down from COVID-19 to thrombosis. COVID-19 and thrombosis. Okay. All right. 2,100 results. Okay. Perhaps I do want to focus in. I could read through all of these, which I read through not all the articles. Focus in on an article of a topic of interest, and you can read the article, but you can really just read the title and the abstract. Okay. What I want to do here is I want to show you PubMed defaults directly to sorting by best match, sorting by relevancy. The articles that are most relevant to this subject or this topic search are going to be up front, all right? They're going to be the first articles, the first few articles, for first few pages of articles, I should say. All right. Now, here's where, if I want to go to the abstract, an article that I want to read, the abstract, if it focuses on an area that I want, you can make that view available. All right. But for now, let's just keep it to summary because we're still exploring. But I'm already beginning to narrow down my area of interest. This could change, but for right now, this is what I think I want to focus in on. COVID-19 and thrombosis, still general, still broad. But when I click on this article, I see some mesh terms highlighted. Severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 is a synonymous keyword phrase for COVID-19, all right? But if I click on mesh terms, here are the mesh terms that were utilized to find that article, or that were tagged, I should say tagged, connected to that article, to that resource. And here's where you can ask yourself, okay, do I want to focus in on venous thromboembolism with a subheading of drug therapy or etiology causes of venous thromboembolism as a result, etiologies causes, how this happened as a result of COVID-19? I might wish to do sort of another search using these mesh terms and related synonymous keywords to see if I want to focus even more. Okay. So if I click on thrombosis, search and mesh. Actually, let me do this. Here's my first concept, my first family of concepts, COVID-19, clicking on it, search and mesh. Okay, this is the mesh database, which actually I said I was going to show you how to get to. If you click on here, PubMed, mesh database. Okay, COVID-19. Okay. Here is our mesh database, our mesh library. This can help you, guide you if you need further focus, if you need help to guide you even more narrowly to your subject and topic of interest. Do I want to focus in on COVID-19 testing, COVID-19 vaccines? Here is the general COVID-19, which is going to be broader, but I can narrow it down in my search if I wish, because I might want to search broadly now. And of course, here is the virus, SARS-CoV-2. If I click on COVID-19, this is where I can ask myself, what is it I want to do with COVID-19? Okay. I'm focusing in on complications because I'm talking about thrombosis as a result of COVID-19. I want to restrict to mesh major topic. I want my results to be focusing in on complications due to COVID-19. Here is what I spoke about earlier. Here are some synonymous keywords that if you need to broaden your search, you can, or with the concept, the mesh term. And again, you want to pick common keywords, all right? Keywords that will most likely appear in the title or the abstract of the article. There might be a common acronym out there that you wish to OR with a mesh term to grab that article or that resource that has that acronym in it. Again, OR will broaden your search. But for right now, let's keep it simple. COVID-19 complications, which is not simple, of course. Restricting to mesh major topic. If I were to click on this, this is telling me I am not going to include any mesh terms found below. Here's the hierarchy. There aren't any narrower terms. It stops at COVID-19. So automatically, you don't even need to, if you wanted to click that, if you looked at the mesh database and there were mesh terms that were narrower that you did not want to include in your search, if your search was too broad, you could certainly click on that item or that selection. Okay, adding to search builder. Beginning my search. But there was also another mesh term that I wanted to OR with this. Let's go back to COVID-19. This isn't going anywhere, okay? So you know. COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2. Are there any subheadings that I want to add to SARS-CoV-2 at this point in time? There really aren't. I can always go back if I wish to, but I think I'm good here. I want to restrict to the mesh major topic. There are no narrower terms. If I wanted to broaden it, I could go to coronavirus, but I don't think we need to broaden this search, not when it deals with COVID-19. I am going to, again, SARS-CoV-2 is part of the family, part of the same household. So I want to OR it. Okay? We had the beginnings of our first concept. What about thrombosis? Again, this is not going anywhere. Of course, it would help if I spelt it correctly. Okay. Do I want to go with the general concept of thrombosis? Or do I want to go into, let's see here, looking at all these specifics. Well, for now, this is what I want to do. Since that article that I saw mentioned both of these, both of thrombosis, which I'm going to add. I'm going to say etiology, since I'm dealing with COVID. What's below? If I don't click, I'm going to restrict me. Do not include mesh terms found below this term in this hierarchy. If I were to click that, I would exclude all of these. Do I want to do that? I don't know at this point. I might want to include all of these, right? So I am not going to click do not include. And again, here are some keywords, synonymous keywords that I can OR to the mesh term. So PubMed likes to add a lot of parentheses. But for right now, we have our first concept OR'd with another mesh term and with a second family of concepts. And now we can search PubMed. We have 107 results. So we did a nice narrowing down. However, I might want to try to broaden this a little bit. If I click on advanced, it's going to take that search. This is my search. Add query. I call this my drawing board, my blackboard, I should say, where I can start to add or synonymous keywords, okay? So here's where I want to add my parentheses since it's a separate family. I did see a spelling that looked interesting for thrombosis. See what happens. Oh, see how we upped our results. All right. So now you can begin to read some more as a result of that more refined search. And if you want to and it with a third concept, you make some discoveries, you want to and it with a third concept, perhaps a therapeutic approach or a susceptible population, who knows? But the whole point is you start out with a broad subject, and by exploring the results of that broad subject search, you'll organically discover areas of interest that you wish to focus in on. And then you can and it, disregard that. That's just saying it doesn't like a certain parentheses that I have. Well, there it is. Do. Again, PubMed likes to add parentheses. It's fine. I like to keep my parentheses simple. Open front door, back door, anding it with a separate household, front door, closing the back door, search. And now that should be away. Yes, okay. So again, the more you start out broad, you and it with a second concept, which will narrow down that broad search. From those results, you might make additional discoveries that you wish to focus in on, and then you can and it, if you need to, with a third concept. And then from there, you can begin to refine your topic. Okay, that is, let me go back to the library homepage. So that is the preliminary. That again, this is the first time we've done this class. I thought it would be a good idea to sort of give you an overview of how to begin to think about narrowing down your broad subject to an area of specific interest. If you have any questions between now and Dr. Thompson's class, which again, you will be notified of, it'll be in a few months. I will, of course, explore all of this, the ins and outs of developing your search strategy and how to pick the primary studies, how to find primary studies for your lit review. Again, your lit review is a review of the primary studies out there that pertain to your topic. But between now and then, if you need to reach anybody, myself included, simply click on Ask a Librarian. It will be a link. You can email us or you can chat with us in real time. During these hours, we are available. You can also, if you wish, you can set up under the help tab, you can click on consultations and you can book an hour with one of our librarians, myself included. Your name, contact information. Tell us specifically what it is you need help with, okay? It can be, I need help with finding articles on my very broad subject in order to narrow down my broad subject to a more refined topic, which we just went over, and I'm happy to help you further. So that is all for now. I look forward to seeing you in the next class. This recording is going to be available on Canvas, and I can also going to be sending it out to many people. So it's Friday. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to chatting with you. Okay, be well.